On a warm summer evening in our opulent Boston home on Commonwealth Avenue, everything seemed to embody the ideal life, one built on habit, love, and the steady rhythm of family unity. I'm Daniel Carter, a reputable financial advisor known for my accuracy and strong commitment to both my career and my family. As my wife, Rebecca, moved elegantly in the kitchen, the comforting, familiar aroma of home cooking filled the air. Her kind smile radiated warmth as she carefully plated the meal, reassuring me once again of our contentment. Our 8-year-old son, Ethan, scampered into the dining room, his laughter a joyful contrast to the peaceful evening. Seated at the head of our dining table, surrounded by the people I loved most, I felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. This was the life we had meticulously built over the years. But as the evening progressed, a subtle disquiet crept in. Rebecca's movements were different, deliberate, almost mechanical. She wasn't glancing at her phone as she usually did. Her focus was entirely on the task at hand. It was unlike her. Even the meal, New England clam chowder, my favorite comfort food, felt different. As I took my first bite, expecting warmth, a sharp chill ran down my spine. I glanced at Rebecca. She stood at the edge of the table instead of sitting with us, her posture guarded, her expression unreadable. Something was wrong. I tried to shake the feeling, but the small, telling details began to stack up. A slight change in her tone, the way she hesitated before speaking to a passing visitor, the fraction of a second she paused before answering me, a glance over her shoulder quickly masked by a well-practiced smile. As the evening continued, the atmosphere grew heavier. My gut screamed at me to pay attention. I reached for my phone, not to call her out, but to take notes, documenting every small anomaly, every deviation from the routine I had come to know so well. The meal, once a symbol of love, now felt like a warning. Ethan laughed, oblivious to the tension tightening around us. Rebecca's carefully curated gestures, once comforting, now felt like part of something much darker. Every action, every glance, every pause told me that something was being hidden. And then I knew. She was planning something terrible. That night, as Ethan drifted off to sleep beside me, his small hand still wrapped in mine, a creeping dread settled over me. The life I had built with Rebecca was falling apart, piece by piece. Her precision, her silence, the eerie calm in her eyes, it all pointed to one thing. She wanted us dead. The realization hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just paranoia. This wasn't just a bad feeling. It was real. And I had two choices, ignore it or fight back. My heart pounded. I had seconds, maybe minutes, to act before it was too late. My phone was too far away. But then I saw it, Rebecca's laptop still open. I reached for it, my hands shaking, my breath uneven. And then I saw the messages. A single contact. No name. Is it done? Her reply, yes. They won't wake up. The final message sent a cold wave of terror through my body. By dawn, the house will be empty. At that moment, I knew without a doubt, this was no longer my wife. This was my enemy, and I had one chance to survive. As I processed the horror of the texts I had just read, an overwhelming sense of dread reinforced the fact that Rebecca had not only planned our murder, but had conspired with someone whose name I had grown to fear. Despite my shallow breaths and weak speech, I managed to whisper to James, my closest confidant, the chilling truth. Rebecca, she tried. His face turned pale as he absorbed the seriousness of my confession. She wanted to kill us, I continued. James whispered, his voice barely audible. You were right. His eyes widened in shock and grief. He paused for a long moment, his voice heavy with remorse. She's been preparing this for a long time. When I handed him the text messages, I saw his expression darken further, and my heart sank. A chilling detail caught his attention. A name in Rebecca's messages, identified only by the letter S. James's voice trembled as he muttered, I know this number. His expression twisted in disbelief. It belongs to Sarah Collins. I scowled, confused. Sarah Collins? I asked, turning to face James. His expression was intense, his steady gaze betraying his internal shock. My ex, he clarified, his voice heavy with bitterness. The woman who destroyed my life 3 years ago. Her name hit me like a sledgehammer. A name that had once only brought James painful memories was now linked to Rebecca's homicidal scheme. The full weight of the betrayal became unbearable. Rebecca's plan to flee and leave us to die wasn't the only treachery at play. She had conspired with someone who had already shattered James once before. A perverse alliance had formed, A betrayal so deep, so calculated, that it threatened to take everything I had built, including the sanctuary of my own mind. Should I tell James everything about Sarah's involvement now? Or should I let the shock settle, allowing the weight of this revelation to cement itself before taking action? James's unwavering, darkened eyes left no room for hesitation. "We have to stop this. Now," he stated firmly. I nodded silently, my heart pounding. His hands clenched into fists as if trying to physically hold back the horror of it all. This revelation was the final piece of a puzzle, a vast network of deception that stretched beyond our once peaceful lives. As we sat in my car, bathed in the dim glow of the dashboard, the city lights blurred past in a whirlwind. The reality of our situation crashed down on me. The love I had trusted with my life had left me blind to the hidden truths lurking beneath the surface. Now we had a choice. To take back our lives, we had to uncover every layer of deception. And in that grim moment, James and I silently vowed to dismantle this twisted alliance, piece by piece. A wave of determination surged through me, numbing the sting of betrayal and replacing it with cold resolve. Rebecca's scheme, now forever tied to Sarah Collins's name, had escalated this nightmare to a whole new level. The road ahead would require all my strength, all my cunning. As the grim reality of our predicament sank in and Rebecca's incriminating texts echoed in my mind, I prepared for the next step in this terrifying journey. This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. This was war.